In the 1880s to 1930s, children were placed into foster homes, typically because their parents or guardians were deceased. They were not taken out of homes for abuse, as it was socially accepted and legal. The abuse actually occurred in the foster homes. In New York City, in 1807, an 8-year-old orphan named Mary Ellen Wilson received daily whippings and beatings at her foster home. There was no organization to protect abused children, so the attorneys for the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals took on her case. Her attorneys argued that laws protecting animals from abuse shouldn't be greater than laws protecting children. Mary Ellen Wilson's case went to a court, and the foster mom was convicted of assault and battery and given a 1-year sentence. Obviously, something more needed to be done to protect children, especially children in foster homes. In the early 1900s, social agencies began to pay and supervise foster parents. The government began state inspections of foster homes. Records were kept to increase accountability, and children's needs were considered when placements were made. Historically, group foster homes were abundant with abuse of children. Currently, they are better regulated and monitored than in the past, so the amount of abuse has decreased.
Once you become a foster carer, you get allocated a supervising social worker, and we come to visit you every 4 to 6 weeks and more if need be to find out how you're getting on with that child. Is there any extra support you need? We are always on the end of the phone, and we have out of hours numbers available at weekends and during the night if foster carers need additional assistance.
Today, foster children are usually removed from a home due to parental abuse, neglect, or a parent's inability to meet the basic needs of their child or children. Prior to the removal of their parents, efforts are made to remediate the issues and have the child remain in the home. When all the efforts fail to keep the child or children safely in the home, the child has no relatives, kinship, caregivers, or individuals known to the child or children that they can live with, then they are placed in foster care.
Today, there are many different types of foster care homes that children can be placed in. This ensures a child will be placed in the home that best suits them and their needs. Short-term foster and kinship carers provide full-time, ongoing, day-to-day care for children for up to 2 years, while the Department of Communities Child Safety Services work towards reunifying the child with their family. During this time, the carers are actively working with the child, the foster care team, and the department to progress the child's case plan with the goal of safely returning the child to their family. Long-term care involves providing children a safe and stable home as they are unable to live with their own family. Long-term carers commit to the ongoing full-time care of a child up to 18 years of age. Intensive foster care requires a carer who has a passion to care for a child with complex needs or may have specialized skills or training to be able to support them in this role. This may include medical, behavioral, mental health, and diagnosed disabilities. Carers receive additional training and support from Uniting Care Community to help meet the needs of the children in their care. Short break care assists foster and kinship carers who are supporting a full-time child. Foster carers who are able to provide a short break to a child are able to choose when they can provide care, for example on weekends or holiday periods. Emergency carers are available to provide short-term care at short notice, evenings or on weekends, for children who urgently need a place to stay. One of the current problems with foster care is the lack of social workers. Social workers do not have enough time to regulate and check in on each home and child frequently enough. Less regulation can lead to abuse and neglect by foster parents, which are the reasons why children were removed from their homes in the first place. Social workers are also often given very risky tasks. As a social worker, you don't know what you're getting into.
One of the most wonderful things in our country is the foster system, because children are no longer put in an orphanage. But within the foster system, you need the strength of an actual system working and supporting both the families and the children. And that's very important. Unfortunately, we do not have enough social workers in this country. It could be for a variety of reasons. It's very complex work, it can be very risky work, and it doesn't often pay a lot of money. Most recently in Vermont, there was a case where I believe the caseworker had well over 30 cases that she was in charge of, and this was a case where the family, the family needed support and the child needed to be taken from the home, and certainly it was a very threatening type of thing, and unfortunately the social worker was killed in that environment. So social work can be very, very challenging, very rewarding, but we just don't have enough people that are going into this very complex.
There are also just not enough people involved. The foster care system as a whole is challenged with not enough foster families. In an ideal world, there would be several available foster families for each child, so the best appropriate match for a placement could be made. The reality is that foster home placements are limited. A second issue is that the clinical needs of the children and youth are increasing. More significant trauma, mental health, exposure to substance abuse, and domestic violence, identified as being a sexually exploited, trafficked victim. Families are not always equipped with the resources to maintain such a high level of clinical supervision. Also, I believe greater effort should be taken to strengthen the impoverished communities where foster children often come from. When communities start to break down, the need for foster care grows and the cycle continues.